Good morning, my beautiful circle of friends. I hope you are well. My name is Paula, also known as P.B. Moreland. I am the author of the 4 novels in the Whitebird series, and I am also a full-blooded dragon. I have a deep history of dragon blood in my veins, and I am an aquamarine water dragon, crystal. It is nice to see you today. This is a special day for many. It's the 4th of July. And while many are gathering in celebration, I myself, here in the stillness, in the sacred pause. This day has changed its meaning for me over the years. When I was young, of course, we celebrated this day in grand style. On the at neighbors' houses, we had big picnics, and we had potato sack races and the 3-legged races, and we would do the wheelbarrow races and, of course, tug of war. Our friends had a pool. And so for years we would celebrate this way, and then we go to our local lake, very large lake, and either be out on our friend's boat or be on the shoreline watching the fireworks. And so there's a lot of fond memories for this day, for me. But as I grew older, I became a lot more sensitized to all the people and all the noise. And this day means different things to many people. Many people experience this day differently. And so I had a shift in perspective when I began to feel discomfort beneath the noise. The way the loudness clashes with the animal kingdom, veterans, and sensitive souls. So I'm not sure about you and how you honor this day, how you celebrate, whether you do it quietly or you do it loud. It's really your choice, of course, but I thought I would just take a pause and share how my feelings about this day have changed the more I began to understand and learn about what this day really represents. So before we go forward, this is a growing YouTube channel, so I hope you subscribe. There is a watermark over here. It's a little dragon. If you click on that, it's over here or over here. I never know how these videos, they switch themselves. But it's a little watermark of a dragon down in the bottom corner. And if you click on it, that'll help you subscribe. And then don't forget to give a thumbs up or a like to this video if you enjoy it. Share it with friends. And please leave a comment. This is a sacred space. And all those that land upon these videos, I welcome warmly with open arms. We are a community of like-minded individuals who are awakening to the beauty of all that is. And our perspective, our perception of world events, holidays, gatherings, what we celebrate, why we celebrate it, often changes when we begin to awaken and out of this, I'll call it today the false matrix, the 3D matrix. It is the 3D world around us of systems, of operations and governments that have been created as a system of control. I'm not going to go down that road of those theories that many have that I hold true to, because that's not the message for today. That'll be another day. Today is a day of remembrance and to contemplate your personal history with this holiday. And so I want to discuss honoring the original keepers of the land. I often reflect upon how this country was acquired. In our history books, that, in my opinion, aren't really the real truth of our history, these textbooks that were given to us in the classrooms. Now, I am an old soul. I am in my 60s. I have been soldiering through this 3D world for 66 years. And so it has weighed upon me often how it just doesn't make sense. Some of these, even Columbus Day, doesn't not make any sense to me. However, the powers that be wanting to keep humanity in basically a box created these textbooks, which most of it, I don't know what the percentage of it is because I haven't researched it and I'm not going to give that number because I don't know the truth of it. But I do know a great deal of these history books are fabricated. They're not real. And one day this will come to light. But the 4th of July, our Day of Independence, yes, it is a day to celebrate, but at what cost? So before there were colonies and flags, this land pulsed with sacred memory. It was and is home to nations with deep wisdom, ceremony, and connection to the earth. I know the natives of this country do not celebrate the 4th of July with fireworks. It is not their day to celebrate, even though they are the original keepers of this land. I will take a pause here and just let you know that I am fully in awareness of that I am part of this system. I'm not here, excuse me, I forgot to take a sip of coffee. It's 4th of July. See my 4th of July sweater? That said, I am not here to beat the drum, no pun intended, to beat the drum that we stole this country from the indigenous and to berate that whole war that we won basically from the British so that we could become a sovereign nation, a nation that did not have to pay taxes to Britain. However, at what cost? Most of us do know what happened in the genocide of the Native Americans when the Spaniards came and subsequently British. It was a genocide because it was a war over this land. This land is very sacred. Our forefathers knew this, knew the riches within the land, knew the expanse of the land and the sky, the mountains. There is no land on earth as beautiful as North America. This is the heartbeat of Gaia, and they wanted it, and they took it. And so, again, without that going back, because our Native Americans need to be honored for who they are today, not for what they suffered in the past. I know many, I've heard them speak. They're like, just leave us be and let us be who we are. You don't need to pity us. You don't need to save us. We have our customs and traditions, and we are moving on in our world. So the 4th of July, 1776, yes, peoples on this nation were free from the British rule. However, they invaded a land that was already occupied for thousands and thousands of years. They say Columbus discovered America. Well, that's a bunch of bullshit. It's just crazy talk. However, that's what's still taught in our schools, just to keep it reasonable to many who, if they knew the truth of what really happened, they wouldn't be able to handle it. So it's a control mechanism. That's changing. It's changing as our perception of the world is changing. And because today is the 4th of July, in my opinion, it's an appropriate day to talk about what freedom really means. What does it mean to you? And so to truly honor freedom, we must honor the ancestors who were not free when this country declared its own. So freedom to me is not just about flags or fireworks. It's about the soul and about truth. I've always been this way. I'm about the truth. I just had a conversation with a very dear friend a few days ago. And it was about how it's hard for me to read through sarcasm. It's hard to me. I'm very literal. I take people for what they say, and I always have been this way. So when I'm teased or people use sarcasm, I'm a little bit thrown off because I don't use it. And it was explained to me that I'm very sincere. I'm a sincere person. When I talk to people, I speak my truth, and I expect that in return. And so it's sometimes difficult for me to navigate through sarcasm and through teasing and through insincerity, through just jokes, because I seek the truth. I always have. I'm just wired that way. And so that's why sometimes it is not comfortable for me to be in a large group that is laughing at someone or making fun of someone at the other's expense, just being sarcastic about a situation, or I'm pretty good with metaphors because I write, so I use metaphors to describe something visually. However, I do get stuck in a conversation when the dialogue or the narrative is using I guess I'm not quite sure how to explain this, but I honor truth. Let's just say that. I speak the truth. I don't lie, even if I have to cancel a friend. This morning we were going to get together, a friend of mine and I, take a walk and have coffee and maybe go see the kiddie parade in the town nearby. But I had a change of heart this morning. My soul resonated with the stillness and the pause. And I knew I needed to keep in a more quiet vein today. Just a quiet day. Not to be alone all the time, but I just knew I wasn't going to be great company. And instead of making up a story, I don't feel good, I hurt my toe, my dog, it doesn't feel good, and he really doesn't feel good. But that's not a good excuse. My reasoning was I let my friend know that I awakened today and it wasn't going to be a day I needed to share with someone. I needed to just be reflective in my own sacred stillness. I value our friendship, I told her. I appreciate that she likes to do stuff. She's fun. We have a good time. And I don't like to cancel at the last minute. But I also have to honor me. I have to honor what I need in a very gracious, truthful way. And she was very supportive. She's done that too, because when we need to have our own moments in the stillness and the quiet, we need to honor that. And it wasn't an emergency. She didn't need me. I didn't need to take her somewhere. It wasn't a drive to the airport or a trip to the hospital or the ER to watch a pet. It was just we were going to get together. Maybe we'll get together later on because we're both pretty flexible. But I say that because I do honor the truth. So once again, freedom to me is not about flags. It's not about fireworks. It's about the soul, about truth, about honoring every being's sovereignty, especially our own. And so I thought I would share that little story with my friend. And about the other day when I was with a group of coworkers. That's when they were using sarcasm. And then it was directed at me in a way that I felt a little bit, I didn't feel attacked because I know I'm very warmly embraced for who I am. But it was delivered in such a way that was a little harsh tone because of a comment that I made. And I reacted almost as they were acting. And then I just decided to calmly get up and just leave, which is just my right to do. I don't always interact well with boisterous conversations. It's getting a little bit harder for me to do that, although I really enjoy their company. So I'm doing some exercises and practices on how I can be a little more relaxed and just go with the flow and realize that they're being fun and kind, and I don't have to be so literal all the time, even though I am sincere and I'm very sensitive. I do like gatherings of particular groups of people. And so that said, we go back to the fireworks, the celebrations today. And so, and we'll talk about freedom. I'm using some notes, that's why you see me. And I like to be clear about why I am interacting with my keyboard and why I'm looking over here is because I have put together some notes. So if I get a little off track on a tangent, I can reset and focus on what I really wanted to share today. So these are some things that I hold as sacred. Okay, my freedom, very much so. Honesty, honesty. Even if it might be hard, that's how I honor my sovereignty. I do not need to tell a tall tale to soften how I might react with other people or how I might interact with them. But I don't need to be callous, cold, but I do need to honor my voice, and I need to honor the right to rest. Today is going to be a day of rest, to choose my own path. I hold that as very sacred. I have tried my very hardest to honor my children's path. Others around me, my daughters, they chose different paths than I did. Oh, yeah, they're not me. Sometimes I have to bite my tongue because it wouldn't be something I would choose to do. But if I honor my own path in freedom, I must honor their own path. I must honor my mother's own path and my friends and anybody I come across. It's not my job to redirect them and to tell them, well, that's not a great idea. Maybe you should do this. No, if they ask my opinion about something, I will share my honest opinion. It's what they open the door to receive. I also honor the independence from systems that harm the earth or divide people. And that list is very big. I do not honor systems that harm earth or divide people. There are movements in our world today that look like they are all inclusive, but they are created to divide. Any movement that separates one being from another and says that they have a right to exist, they have a right to express themselves in a group that is unique. In how I see this, it's separating that group out. And I know I'm not going to start labeling these groups because that's not my intention. But I see through that illusion of inclusivity where it's the opposite. And that has been created by, let's say, the deep state. Okay? It is for division. It's to keep people thinking that they're different from each other, that they have to honor everything that's different about them to make a difference. And that is only to divide groups, whether they're race, gender, religion, you name it, is to divide. It is not to include. And so that's just something to take note of. Okay? Doesn't mean that there is no human being on this planet that is better than another human. None. Not one. Not one individual on this planet is more special or unique than another one. We come from the same source. There are humans on this planet who might have different soul families. I'm not sure if I'm describing that correctly, so I'm going to stop because I'll probably confuse you and I'll confuse myself. But I do know that there is no greater being in the whole cosmos than the human being. If somebody next to me in the house has a different color skin and they love a different kind of person that I might love, and they attend a different religious ceremony that I might attend, we are no more special, better, worse than the other. Okay, we're community. This whole planet is a community. And one day it will be treated as such. So the groups that are divided and highlighted, where that flashlight is focused on them, whatever it might be, ask yourself why. Why is this group being highlighted and shown that the powers that be behind it are only looking for inclusion? Or no, it's for division only. And then the systems that harm the earth. I'm not going to go into every one of them because there are many. But I do know that I honor the earth. I sit on the earth. I'm a gardener. I put my hands in the soil. I recycle religiously, even though I know I'm beginning to realize it's probably all going in the same hole. However, it's the intention, it's the honoring, and it's mostly the reuse. I've done this as long as I can remember. I was doing this in the late 70s, early 80s. Throwing a glass bottle away, an aluminum can, plastic bottle, especially plastic bottles, is against my nature. I cannot do it. And so systems that harm the earth, I would like independence from them. And also the freedom to awaken, the freedom to step out of a 3D system. It is not easy. It is not for the faint of heart, but you have the right to choose. I think that will be a topic for an upcoming video. Right to choose, to step out of the systems that we have been controlled by for thousands and thousands of years. And so now I want to quickly mention something that I consider in the weeks, days of 4th of July. I consider the noise. So tonight, many will set off fireworks, but I think of the dogs tremble. My dog, he trembles terribly. I think of the birds who lose their way. The bees whose navigation is upset for days on end through that noise. The veterans whose bodies still remember the boom of war. When those fireworks go off, that is what I think about. And I try to send out waves of calm because I'm a frequency worker, meaning I tend to work with frequencies. I can read the land and walk on the land and feel the energies. And so, just like I work with the storms and I tone into the storm. I become part of the storm to honor it for what it is. Don't become part of the fireworks because those are man-made. Those are set off by humans that I particularly think are unaware of the damage that they're doing. Even though they bring entertainment to millions, they are harming the earth and its systems by the noise and the pollution in our skies. The birds lose their way. The bees, their navigation. The dogs tremble. The wildlife trembles. They are completely confused. They do not understand this loud, loud noise. So I gently invite you as listeners to consider compassion, how you mark this day. I would never tell you to change your opinion on this day or your way of celebrating. But if you could think of the ancestors who walked this land, don't celebrate 4th of July because that was the moment that the land was taken away from them in many respects. But again, I must say I am completely aware that I am a white woman living on a land, and I am not ignorant to the ways of how I got here. I followed. I'm English Irish. So my ancestors came across the big pond just like the rest of them. But I'm aware of the indigenous tribes. I've researched the Hopi, the Lakota, the Navajo, the Sioux, the Oglala Sioux. I have researched them. I have huge compassion for the Mohawk, for the Iroquois. I have huge compassion for the, sorry, just slipped right out, Oklahoma, the Trail of Tears. I remember that. That is where I resonate. I don't really resonate in the modern day celebrations as such that celebrate when this country was taken from those who lived here before. Even though we enjoy the freedom of this country and the many things it offers us, I won't forget that. So I'm going to put on here a blessing, a closing reflection. May we each discover our own rhythm, quiet or bold, ancient or new. May we remember the ones who came before. May we walk gently on this land and honor her presence. And right now, I'm going to ring the bell. This bell, which is usually in honor of the children, as it is today, is going to be for something different. It's going to honor the peace and the stillness and the ancestors who walked on this land and the freedom to choose your own sacred path. Take a moment now, quiet stillness. I honor each one of you. I honor your sacred journey. I honor your divine sovereignty. I honor how you choose to celebrate this day, how you remember our ancestors, and those natives who are the true caretakers of our planet, for they know Mother Nature. They understand the skies and the stars. They understand the temples that are over our planet. My books address this. Every book in the Whitebird series addresses how the ancestors are the true caretakers. But it is going to be very soon, in our very near future, that we are also going to be the caretakers of the earth. That is our birthright. And the systems no longer have control of us. We need to remember all those who came before us and how to take care of our planet, to live with each other. There is no division, there is no divide, there is no difference. Our souls have the same heartbeat, came from the same creative source. So don't forget to play well together. Don't forget to honor each other as you pass on the street or in the store. Quick smile and a nod of acknowledgement. I honor you, and I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful 4th of July day.